Another interesting thing, this Wade versus Pierce thing is getting out of hand, man. But it's a good conversation, and I mean, for the people who just think this is not even a debate, they're not looking at it they're not really looking at it basketball wise, right? So it's a couple of ways people look at this. Paul Pierce will come out and on several occasions, people keep asking him about this, man, whatever show he go on, because 3-4 years ago when he was on ESPN and he first said he's better than Wade, or he had a better career than Wade. I don't know how he worded it, and everybody wanted to clown him and bring up the stats and all this stuff, which definitely heavily weighs in Wade's favor. If you look at stats, if you look at resume, I mean, that's go heavily be in Wade's favor. However, that's not how I look at it. I'm looking at it probably how like Paul Pierce is looking at it, like basketball wise. Ability for ability, skill for skill, who's a better player? And it's closer than people would give it credit for. People just think it's just easily Wade with no debate. Like I said, if you go to Google and you Google career stats, points per game over their career, and how many first team defenses, how many scoring titles, how many points, how many championship rings, when you go all that, yeah, it's gonna be easily Wade, right? Wade wins the resume hands down. There's no debate. But when you start talking about basketball, period, and that's why Paul Pierce keep bringing up. Yeah, he played with Shaq. If I had Shaq when I was 24 years old, I think the way he played 3 years in college, he probably was 23 as a rookie, 24 when Shaq showed up. Yeah, so Wade was probably 24 when he got Shaq, and Pierce was like, if I had Shaq at 24, I probably would have got a ring too at 24, which is probably true. He said if I had the Miami Heat big three, if I had Bosh and LeBron and Ray Allen next to me, I probably would get 2 rings too, probably more, right? Which is kind of true. You could say that, right? And as a matter of fact, Pierce might fit better with that squad, because remember, there was a lot of growing pains having 2 downhill type players that need to get to the rim and need the ball like Wade and LeBron. That's why they got their butt whooped by the Dallas Mavericks. They had to figure that out. It would have been more seamless with Paul Pierce. He's able to catch and shoot. He's able to spray the floor. It probably would have clicked a little bit quicker than it did with Wade and LeBron. But they figured it out, and they got 2 out of 4 rings out of the deal. But who knows? Paul Pierce and they probably would have meshed a little bit better. I say all that to say this. When he brings up, if I would have played with the guys he played with, my career would probably look different as well. What he's really doing is he's taking out the accolades and the resume out of it, because he's saying the resume is circumstantial, right? The people's resume is what it is based on circumstances. It's based on how good you are as well, but you could be good and be in the wrong circumstance, and somebody that's just as good as you in the right circumstance would on paper blow you out of the water, which is what happened in this case. On paper, Wade blow his resume out of the water. But I'm gonna play Antoine Walker's comments about the whole situation. He kind of tiptoed around a little bit because he played with both players. He played with Paul very young. They came to Boston together, and then he won a championship with Wade and Shaq and that stack squad, right? This is how he tackled that conversation.
Mm-hmm. Paul Pierce has made some noise on social media comparing his career to Dwayne Wade's. So I just want you to settle this argument once and for all. You spent a lot of time playing with Paul Pierce. You spent a lot of time playing with D. Wade. Who was the better player, Paul Pierce or Dwayne Wade?
This is tough, man. And I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to answer your question. I'm not going to avoid the question. But D. Wade had his Hall of Fame celebration here last week. And I went on, I was on Paper Route on another podcast show. And D. Wade didn't like my response because I said Paul would have gave him a run for his money in a one-on-one. And D. Wade was pissed at me because he said who you won a championship with. But to answer your question, I mean, and this is and once you really start thinking about it, it's really two different players. Paul Pierce was a big body, 230-pound, really small forward, a true small forward. When you think of Paul Pierce, you think of more matchups with LeBron James and some of the premier Carmelo Anthony, some of the premier three men in the league. D Wade was a little different, and then D Wade was way better in transition. He can get out in transition, finish at the rim. Obviously, with the athleticism that obviously D Wade had. I would say Paul, both of them were good defenders. D Wade was just better in the passing lane. You know, you start splitting hairs when you start talking about those two guys. But obviously, D Wade has won 3 titles, is going to the Hall of Fame, and right now, you know, obviously Paul's a Hall of Famer. You know, and so I think this is playing. But they're very close. I play with 2 dynamic players. I just think, you know, Paul's more of a throwback. Than D Wade when I'm thinking about offensively, where Paul's going to post you up, score in a more methodical way, where D Wade is going to get out and transition. He's you know, high fire act. He's an exciting player in transition. So you know, you picking, you nitpicking at some point.
Yeah.
When you get to talking about those 2 guys, and they both going to get their just due in the Hall of Fame.
So you hear how he broke it down. He went to actual basketball. He went on the floor. You know, he did mention the championship rings, but that was about it. You know, so you know, most people who just, you know, are watching the sport for entertainment and all that stuff, they're just going to go to the Google stats and say the stats are better on Wade's side, so that means Wade is better. I wouldn't do it that way, and of course, Antoine Walker didn't do it that way. And you heard him say at the beginning, he got in trouble with D Wade. D Wade got mad at him because he kind of chose Paul Pierce when he was first asked this years ago, because he knows how good Paul Pierce is, right? So let's talk about now. First, let me start it by saying this. I wouldn't even pick between Wade and Pierce, because I really do think it's close, and I just think that they're different. Like Antoine said, they're different players. So it's kind of hard to evaluate them. They're very different. One is very athletic, uber athletic, which is Wade, and he can overwhelm you with speed, athleticism, leaping ability. He was very close to a freak athlete, right? So that you know, that counts for something. Paul Pierce wasn't a freak athlete that way. He wasn't a horrible athlete. He wasn't a freak athlete. But what he did have going for him is he was highly skilled with and without the basketball. And he could score in so many ways, from the 3, from the mid, from the paint, in the post, slashing, catch and shoot, coming off pin downs, free throws. All that stuff was legit. He could handle the ball, all of that. Wade, fast break. I mean, he's gonna kill you in the fast break. In the half court, he developed a post game. Post game was decent. It wasn't as good as Paul Pierce. And as far as what he was gonna do off the ball, I mean, he can slash, you know. But as far as, okay, I need to spread the floor, and I got Dwayne Wade in the corner, and he's gonna be a threat to knock down a catch and shoot 3. He wasn't that guy. He did most of his damage with the ball. Was you gonna come set a pin down screen or off ball screen for D Wade and let him run off of it like he's Reggie Miller? No, he's not gonna do that. Wasn't good at that. Paul Pierce was, right? So it's so many different things that you can use Paul Pierce with. And then why I give Wade the edge at on defense is his athleticism and speed also made him somewhat of a better defender. But Paul Pierce wasn't a bad defender, not by a long shot. Not the way he guarded Kobe, and not the way he guarded LeBron in those tough battles. He accepted that challenge and did it. Not the way he guarded Melo. You get what I'm saying? Paul Pierce was a good defender as well, but off the ball, chasing people around screens and doing all that stuff, you got to get at the Wade, because he's fast and athletic. Wade been able to switch on the point guard and lock him up. So it's a lot of on the defensive end that you got to get the nod to Wade. So if Wade wasn't as a dominant scorer as Paul Pierce, because he couldn't do it in every way possible on offense, He just did it mostly by getting to the paint, getting to the hole, going downhill, but he was still giving you the same, if not more points. And then on top of that, he's a better defender. You would kind of, if you just in a total vacuum, you've got to kind of give it to Wade, but it's not by much. That's my whole point. So if you really pulled my arm and said you have to choose, I probably would say, adding the defensive element, I would say Wade. So, because you got to be on both ends. But if we're saying who's the better scorer, I'm saying Paul Pierce is the better scorer, right? So that's the thing you gotta think about and look at. But like I was saying, people who just looking at it on the surface, they're just going to pull the stats up, and whatever the stats say and whatever the stats suggest and whatever the resume say and whoever got the most accolades, they're going to lean toward that, man. But trust me, it's not far off. It's not far off at all. It's close. And if I was Paul Pierce, I keep messing with it. I keep saying it. Why not? You're already in the Hall of Fame. You're not gonna lose nothing from it. You ain't gonna gain nothing either. He just talking what he really believe, and that's fine. That's fine. Wade has more friends in the media. Wade has more fans. So this battle is always gonna, especially on Twitter and especially on ESPN and on the media, is always gonna be lopsided, and they're always gonna have people on Wade's side, kind of clowning Paul Pierce. But Paul Pierce still talking his junk, and he believed what he believed. He said what he said. So just the simple fact that it's not as big as a gap as people think it is, and it's close. I would rather not call it, but if you twisted my arm with the defensive element, I probably give it away.